I guess first, before I get started, because I mean, honestly, y'all, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Like, I'm excited for this, but I'm more nervous for like the editing process of all this. This is going to be so interesting to like clip everything together and make it one big episode. I'm excited, but like, it's like,
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
It sounds like this is really good.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to formally introduce you guys before, like, I don't have to formally introduce you guys now because I'm going to do it in my audio.
Gotcha.
Everything later. But I do just want to start asking y'all some cool questions just to kind of put an icebreaker on. It's gonna progress, just so you know.
Yeah. I'm excited. Let's go.
Cool. All right. So obviously we're talking about periods. I want to know, the first thing I want to know, so I guess I should first say, y'all know what periods are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. You want to make sure sometimes, like, people have no. But the first question I had for y'all was, actually, this is for you, Alina. How far along into the relationship did you feel comfortable sharing the contents of your period with Raúl?
I think pretty early on, because I get really bad periods. So there's like, I don't have a choice. And we like moved in together fairly early in our relationship. Like we moved in together 2-3 months into our relationship. So, and my period is like one of those periods where it's like, I faint almost and like get fever and vomiting and like, it's terrible the first day. So like, I can't really hide it, you know, like I can't really not talk about it. So I don't think I kept it for that long. I think I was pretty open about how my periods were, just to like, cause I need help. Like I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
It's really hard when I have to do it by myself, but.
And periods have never really been a weird topic for me either. So like I don't think there was ever like a point where you're like, maybe I shouldn't, you know? Because it's never really been like that weird of a thing
for him.
Because you know, like some people are uncomfortable with. I don't know.
I felt pretty.
Awesome. That really is, because like I mean, it shows that you are creating a space for her to be comfortable enough to come to you so early on about that. Just a quick question, just because I'm now curious. You said that it didn't bother you at all. Was there anything throughout your lifetime, maybe you had like a lot of sisters or women in your life, that it made it easier for you to
Mom raised me, and then I'm the oldest male, and I have like 15 cousins that were female cousins, and it was where like my mom and my aunt lived next to each other, so I was around them all growing up. So I've always just been raised around women. So I guess maybe that's the thing, that it's just always been like the norm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I just wanted to know that because I feel like that. I think that's important, especially with the being comfortable.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I always felt really comfortable around. I don't feel really comfortable around men usually. Like I have a hard time relating to them, but Raúl always made it really comfortable for me. Like it's very obvious like women raised him, and like he was around women constantly just by the way he like talks to people and everything and like reacts. It's just like I've always felt really comfortable around him. There was never a point where I was like, I don't know, I don't trust you, I can't talk to you about this like woman stuff, because like it's very obvious that like his mom raised him like, and like he was around women constantly. Also, didn't your mom like give you books growing up?
Yeah, because my mom's a nurse. And she also gave the sex ed classes at my school.
Dope.
So it's like I remember very early on, she, like, I think it was the first time I asked her about something like with like sex or stuff, and she just gave me a bunch of books, and she's like, this is, and they weren't like exactly like kid books where they kind of dumb it down. They were just like things that were like the actual names for parts, and she like made it like she never made it a kiddie way, so she just explained it.
And how old was she how old were you when she gave that to you? Do you remember?
I went in the 4th or 3rd grade.
Wow. Cool.
Nicely put up.
Yeah, I think I was
At that
watching.
age.
I think I might have been watching like a movie or something. Something that happened that I had never seen before, and I was confused, and I just went up to her to talk to her. Like I remember I brought her to the room, and I was like, "What are they doing?" And I'm pretty sure it was like a sex scene or something. I was like, "What is that?"
Nice.
Like, oh, okay, this is the time.
Here we go.
She just grabbed like a stack of books, and she's like, "This is what it is."
I love it. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. Honestly, I got like the complete opposite experience from that. So I'm just like, that's amazing that you, a male, got that growing up. That's great.
It's a nice balance too, especially for y'all.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
So the second question I have for you.
Yeah.
What were your immediate thoughts when she began discussing her period with you? Even if it was just like, you know, you were like, oh, she's like, oh, this is what she's talking about. Like, or I don't know how you like first approached him. Maybe you were like, oh, I got these cramps or something like that. But, you know, sometimes it's not even like fully forward. You're just like,
Mm-mm.
I know with me and my boyfriend, he'll just be like, are you okay? And I'm just like, no. And then like, do we start the conversation then? But like, I'm never going up to him and I'm like, I'm on my period. Well, at least I didn't start off that way, but now, you know, it's changed. But I want to know, like, what was your initial thoughts when she started discussing it? Like,
First time it happened was, I think it was one of the first times like we actually like were living together, and it was like a really bad one. So she started throwing up, and like she started crying. And something about this one is when she cries, it's really sad. Like I know it's like, but it's just
sad because you can't do anything to help.
Yeah. And then she just started, like, I started asking her questions of, like, what happens to her, like specifically, and what I can do to help. There's nothing I can do except ask, because I don't have, my body doesn't have a period. So
You're like, I physically do not experience anything like this.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can do. So I guess I felt, like, really comfortable when she was just, like, telling me all these things that happen.
Yeah.
And super amazed that you guys have to, like, that's, I think,
he always says that. He's like, it's so crazy that you guys can go through this once a month and still be fine with it. Like
I feel like if I'm hungry or just have a headache, I get annoying. And you guys have to go through this for like weeks or even like more than 1 week, or sometimes it doesn't even come at all. It's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You can't always prepare for it. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it happens, you just have to fucking deal with it.
Yep. And go to work and do stuff. And people get like me and still have to like, I have to call out sometimes, and I like lose my pay or like look bad because I'm like calling out randomly, like because I randomly got my period and I'm just like projectile vomiting for 3 hours and can't get out of my bed. Like it gets really bad. And I'm just like, well, I have to talk to my manager and be like, hey, I got my period. I'm dying. Bye. Like, what do you do? Some people get like that, and we don't do anything about it. We just have to go to work. We're just expected to do shit when we're like basically dying for 1 to 3 days. Like,
and we also have to pay for it.
Yes. So much money.
You gotta pay to have a period. To at least to survive the period, we have to pay.
Yeah,
that's another subject.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't get like the cheap stuff. Like, first of all, I can't use tampons. So like, I have to like get like really nice like organic pads and stuff to like help me, because all that stuff is made to like ruin your vagina. Like, let's not even get there. Like, and it's overly priced. So like, the stuff I have to pay for is like really freaking expensive just to like not hurt my body.
Yep.
It's insane. It's insane. Like,
call it the pink tax. The tax that they put on
really.
Yeah, it's the way they treat women is really weird.
Really weird.
Really fucked up. Like, I won't, because I'm just gonna keep talking about that. But yeah, continue.
Have you described to him like what it feels like ever? Like to help him like empathize with you a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
What is your like description of what a period?
For me, I always say that it feels like constant like jabbing, like stabbing pains. and like a lot of pressure. Like I feel like a lot of pressure. I explain my cramps go from like my lower back and lower like abdomen to my knees. They get really bad, and it gets like that like right before my period and when my period starts. So like I already know when I'm getting my period because 2 days before I'll start getting cramps. Yeah. Like it's really rough. Like I just started on birth control, so it was a little bit easier this time. But if I'm not on birth control, like I get cramps for like sometimes almost a week before I start my period. So I just explained that it's like it feels like a lot of pressure. I remember one time I tried to explain like how bloated I felt, and he was like, how does that feel? And I was like, well, basically our uterus grows 3 to 4 times its regular size when you're on your period. A lot of people don't think about this, but there's a visual image that I remember seeing.
You showed it to me.
And it's like your uterus during like regular time, and then the size of your uterus when you're on your period, how bloated you get. Like it makes sense. It makes sense that it hurts. So I literally remember being like, do you want to feel it? And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, do you want to feel my uterus right now? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, here you go. And I literally remember grabbing his hand and pressing at it, and I was like, you know what my tummy regularly feels like, so you can tell that this is completely different. And he's like, oh my God. Like I remember him being so upset. He was like, you deal with this all the time? He's like, are you okay? It's really rough. It just
sounds so uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
Like I would just be pissed like all day.
I am pissed all day.
No, I understand. It's just wild. Like that's why when she started explaining all these things to me, all these like tropes that you see on TV and stuff like that, when like, oh, but she must be on the time of the month, like that stuff like that. I'm like, okay, first of all, shut up about those jokes. Second, if she wants to be pissed, she's bleeding constantly. Like, it's just crazy. You guys deserve to yell. It's fucking like it's annoying. I don't. It's just, you know how I get. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb that they're like, oh, she's mad because she's on her periods. Of course she is. Of course she is. What do you mean? You big dummy.
You're adorable. You know that?
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, I'm glad. When I wrote this down, I was like, oh, this is good. Ooh. If she didn't otherwise tell you that she was on her period, would you even know?
I feel like I would know something was up.
Yeah.
Because she definitely acts different when she's on. But I feel like now, since she's talked to me, I know what it is. Like, I know her moods because we lived together for 5 years now. Mm-hmm. So I know exactly what mood she's in sometimes, and I know what I could, like, do to make her feel better. Mm-hmm. Like, I craves the exact same food whenever she has, like, her period, or she's going to get her period. Mm-hmm. So I just know what's happening, and if I can just be like, you just want to get this food instead of just asking her, mm-hmm. like, I know, calm her down. But I feel like I know.
It does.
I know, or if she's, like, near it.
You always know. I remember one time I had a period, like, I had a pregnancy scare, and I didn't say anything. And I didn't want to talk about it because we were both stressed out. We were going through something, and I was like, because it was like work-related stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bring this up right now. I'm just going to wait until I can take a pregnancy test until it's time. I can take my pregnancy test, and it's going to be fine. And so for like a week, I was just freaking out because I took a pregnancy test, and it like was negative, and I was like, okay, well, where the fuck is my period? I was super late, and I was just like freaking out, but I was like, I'm not going to talk about it.
But I knew, like, I knew she was late.
Literally
how late were you?
I think it was like 2 weeks. It wasn't that bad, but it's bad because I'm fairly irregular. So like for me, 2 weeks is,
if it's irregular, okay.
But exactly, for me,
like, I knew it.
But literally, I remember like being like, and so I got my period, and I sat down next to him, and I was like, okay, so I just got my period. I didn't tell you anything, but I had a pregnancy scare, but everything's fine. And he's like, I knew. And I was like, what? Like, I knew you were scared that you were pregnant. I didn't bring it up because I knew it would make you nervous, and you didn't want to talk about it. I knew that if you weren't talking to me about it, it meant you didn't want to particularly talk to me about it and you had it under control. So I didn't bring it up because it would make you nervous. But I knew. And I was like, he's like, you weren't talking about your cramps like you usually do around this time. You weren't complaining about how late you were on your period. You weren't complaining about where your period was. I knew right away that you were having a pregnancy scare. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's when I realized, like, how crazy it was that you, like, live with someone and, like, figure out, like, everything about them. Like, I didn't think that, like, people would figure out, like, how your, like, cycle works and, like, how you work around your cycle. But he knows immediately. And, like, the food stuff, he really is just like, do you want chicken nuggets? And I'm like, yeah, I want chicken nuggets. And I'm, like, crying. And I'm like, yeah, I want chicken nuggets. Or, like, Chinese food every time. Like, before I get my period, I want Chinese food. But I can't figure it out because I'm PMSing. And I'm mad. And he's like, do you just want freaking Chinese food? And I'm like, yeah, I do want Chinese food. And he's like, maybe I'll get you Chinese food. Oh. And it's the best. And then when I get my really bad periods, this boy has gone through hell because it is bad. It is like me sometimes sitting on the toilet, pooping and vomiting into the trash can and crying and like taking my clothes off because I'm dripping sweat from having a freaking fever. And he's literally sat down next to me while I am pooping and vomiting at the same time and put a cold compress on my head so I don't freaking faint. Run to the store to get me Sprite and rubbing alcohol because it's the only thing that'll help me when I'm like on my period. Like I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a like towel and just sniff it and that helps. And like Sprite is the only thing I can drink on the first day of my period. Like I can't drink water. It makes me puke. Anything will make me puke. So I'm just like baby sips of Sprite so I can like get my sugar back up. Like, but he'll literally like run to the store and now we have backup for when it happens. We always have Sprite in the fridge because he's literally like run and been like, okay, just stay here and rest. But he knows exactly what I need. Like, it's crazy. He's so helpful when I'm on my period. And I get really, really bad. Like, that's ugly. That would push people away, okay?
But it's not even, I don't think, but that's the thing, I don't think it should push people. It's just a normal thing.
Pooping and puking at the same time.
Everybody poops and pukes.
That's crazy, okay? And he sat through that. That's all I'm going to say. That's a hero.
I kind of like you, Abe.
Oh, man. I'm emotional.
You said you're on birth control now. I'm just curious. What are you on? And actually, what are you on first? That's the question.
What am I on? Grab my birth control pack. I just got on it. It's been a month. This guy. Let's see. What are you? Lessina.
Okay.
Lessina.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like a low dose, she said. Because I was like, I talked to her and I like get really bad side effects from birth control. Mm-hmm. So I actually got off of it for almost a year, but I couldn't deal with the periods like that anymore. So I was like, I have to get back on birth control. Like, this is so bad. So I told her that I was like, I suffer from depression and anxiety. I was like, I can't get bad because I have a stable job and I can't just like not go to work. And that's what my birth control does to me a lot of the times. Like I get like bad insomnia. I get really bad mood swings. I would get really irritable. I've gotten really bad when it comes to like my birth control. So I got off it for a really long time because I didn't like the way it made me feel. But this has been really good. I also got on depression, like antidepressants at like, around the same time. So I think that like also helped balance it all out. Hopefully. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. So far, I think bringing me any bad side effects. If anything, I gained a little bit of weight, but I don't mind that. That's not a big deal.
Okay. I was curious because I was like, I'm on birth control too, and I find like the contents of my period are different, completely different than it was when I was off of it. But this is also the first time I've been on birth control. So like I waited late, but I'm on it now. But so you're the one, so the birth control you're taking is the kind that you have to take every day. It's
a pill I have to take it every day, and it's recommended that you take it at the same time. but usually it's like around like 2 hours in between. Like as long as you do it between 2 hours before or after, it's usually pretty good.
Cool.
I've done it before. I've never done any other form. If anything, I would do like an arm implant. I don't think I would do an IUD because I have vulvodynia, and my doctor like does not recommend me to do it because she thinks the procedure would just be too painful for me. So
what is vulvodynia?
Vulvodynia is like it's a chronic pain syndrome that is experienced in the vulva and in the like the entrance of the vagina. Yeah. It's I was diagnosed like 2 years ago. And it's been really rough. And that's one of the reasons I can't use tampons. And I have to get like organic panty liners, and because everything and organic detergent and shit is terrible. But like I can't use like all the stuff I used to use. I realized a lot of like feminine products, I don't like calling them feminine products. A lot of period products have like scents and stuff. And I'm like, why? It's terrible. And like a lot of them are made with like plastics and stuff, so it just like constantly rubs your vagina. It doesn't feel good. Like it makes your like you're already irritated because it's your period. Why am I putting on something that's going to make me more irritated? And tampons also, like right now because of my vulvodynia, they're impossible to use. And I wish I could use like like the cups, like the Diva cups, but I also can't use those. Because no, it's very unfortunate because they would be like technically like the best thing for my vagina, but it hurts too much to insert, so I can't. Yeah, it's rough. And I want the IUD, but she was like, I really don't recommend you get it. So the procedure would be really painful, and the recovery.
Yeah.
So I decided to just stick to the pill for now until I find. Because I hate taking the pill because I work very different shifts, and it's very hard for me to find a time that I'm like consistently going to be able to take it. You know what I mean? Like I tried taking it very early in the morning, but a lot of the times I sleep in through the morning because I work night shifts, or I try to put it at like 5 p.m., but then sometimes I'm busy at work at 5 p.m. and can't take it. So it's just very difficult. So I might try to consider the arm implant soon.
That might be a great alternative, especially since you can't do the IUD.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a question about. Sorry, like I'm definitely going off of the grid for a second because like you're saying things and I'm like I'm so curious as to like other aspects of your period.
Yeah.
What so you've been on birth control on and off.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in your periods when you're on it versus when you're off it?
So when I'm off it, my period is very, what's the word? It's not consistent. Irregular, thank you. It's very irregular. So like sometimes I can skip a month or two or be like a couple weeks late, but like skipping my period was very normal. Which made it very hard because then I would never know when to prepare. And when I get my periods, it's really bad. So like if I have plans or something, half of the time I have to cancel. If I have work, half of the time I have to call out because it's just like, it'll be always like that. Like no matter what, whenever I get my period, I know that I'm going to get sick and I'm not going to be able to do stuff that day. When I'm on birth control, usually the last birth control before this that I was on, it was completely skipping my periods, which I hated because I'm sexually active. So like that's nerve-wracking. Like I don't understand people that are just like, yeah, I haven't had a period in 3 years. It's amazing. And I'm like, how do you keep track of not being pregnant? That's terrifying to me. They're like, well, I'm on birth control. And I'm like, birth control isn't 100% effective, bitch. You're going to get pregnant one day. You're not going to know it. You're not going to know it. Literally gonna be like 2 months pregnant and be like, oopsie, too late because you didn't know. I like having my period even if it's terrible. I like getting my period once a month. But so far, so this is my first time getting my period on this birth control. It was a lot nicer. I woke up yesterday with bad cramps at 7 a.m., but it wasn't terrible. I didn't get nauseous at any point. I managed to go to work. I didn't pass out. I didn't get a fever because I had to get my fever, like my temperature checked at work. I didn't throw up. I didn't sleep all day.
I say all in all, a good
experience.
A good
10 out of 10. Hopefully this, and I got it when I'm supposed to get it. Like I was like 10 days late from what my period usually is, but I got it on my like 3rd day of the placebo, which is usually around the time that you're supposed to get it. So it was just aligning with the birth control. So really, hopefully it just like stays with the birth control and like stays like this and is like 3 days long, because I hate having a period for more than 3 days because it's expensive and uncomfortable.
So the duration of your periods isn't like a full week? It's just
when I'm not on birth control, they're usually like, it's usually pretty heavy flow for the first 2 days. The 3rd day is like a medium flow, and the 4th day is like spotting.
That's so lovely.
It doesn't usually last long. It's just like painful for the first 3 days.
Yeah.
And almost or completely impossible for the first day.
Now I'm really curious to find out if there are women out there that have short periods, but they're excruciating because they're so short and everything's coming out all at once.
Yeah.
That have it longer, but like it, it's not nearly as bad.
I know a lot of girls that get their periods for like 2 days and don't feel anything. And I'm like, I hate you. Like, so many people I've talked to, they're like, oh yeah, I don't even feel my period. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm literally like, I grew up like going to school, like freaking middle school, puking in the car, and then like literally getting there and just spending most of the day in the infirmary, like passed out. Like, that's crazy. And then people were like, my period's like 2 days. I use a light tampon. It's great. Like, how did you won the lottery? Do you understand this? You are privileged. Like, that's incredible to me that people experience such light periods and short periods and don't.
That's probably going to be another episode, just talking to people who have light periods. I feel like that's very fascinating, and find out what the missing link is. Like, what are y'all doing to?
What do you do? What's the secret?
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we're on another question now. Great. And this kind of goes to what I was asking you earlier, Raúl, but how privy are you with keeping track of her cycle in her absence? Do you think that it's important that you should know, even if she doesn't tell you or she doesn't show symptoms?
I feel like it's important if you're in a relationship, just because in a relationship it's always like it's kind of two people in one, not just one person does things. And I guess it just helps exactly for those moments where, like, if she's like irregular, and it helps to be like, hey, are you sure that you've been checking? Like, I always ask her, I'm like, did you take your pills and everything? Yeah. But it's just because I know you forget sometimes. Yeah. And I like being reminded of my things too. But I feel like I know sometimes. Like I think it's like a little like a vague area that I would know if she's like late or not.
I think you always.
But it's just because we have a pretty open communication. Yeah. Like, I think we talk about everything.
We do. Pretty much.
I would know.
Important.
Yeah, I guess it is important.
I guess it is.
It is.
Yeah, but you do a really good job at keeping track. Like, more than I do, I think, sometimes. Like, sometimes I get moody, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And he's like, babe, you're PMSing. And I'm like, no.
See, but the thing is, like, I guess I always just, like, keep quiet until she mentions it, because I also don't want to be, like that person who'd be like, oh, are you moody? Are you on your period?
Yeah, no, you never do it in a bad way.
No, that's what I mean. But I just, like...
You'll literally just, like, let me know. You're like, hey, it's fine. You're just getting your period. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, I'm going to get you chicken nuggets. And I'm like, yeah.
Because I understand that. What else?
It's hard.
I love it though. I think God, I'm losing my train of thought, but I think
Okay.
I really thought I literally just I had something really cool to say, and I literally just when
You
my
out
brain,
and
it might come back. It was something really nice though. I just can't remember right now. Yeah, we're talking about. What are y'all talking about? Yeah, we're talking about. Backtrack for me. I'm trying to figure this out. I really want to
about
how I kind of have a vague area that I know that we always have a big open.
Oh, I remember now. I was just going to say that it's like you were saying, like it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it. And you definitely.
100%. Yeah. Because there's a way to say it. Like, there's a lot of men that are like, oh, is it that day of the week? Yeah. Is it that day of the month? And it's like, what the fuck, don't be an asshole, dude? Yeah. Like, so it might not be. Maybe I'm just mad because you're an asshole to me. But, right. Like, Raúl has never said anything like that to me. Like, he'll just, like, put me on check. Like, it'll literally be, like, if I'm unaware because, like, sometimes my anxiety gets really bad, especially, like, when I'm PMSing. And it's really nice for me to just be told that it's like, hey, it's fine. You're not being, like, there's nothing wrong. You're just, like, PMSing. And I'm like, okay. Like, sometimes I remind myself, I'm like, you're not crazy. You're just PMSing.
Yeah, like, I'll remind you, I'll be like, no, like, I'm not mad at you, Alina. It's like,
you're just anxious because you're like, PMSing. And I'm like, okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Like, everything's fine.
So it's really refreshing to be able to, like, hear that instead of, like, is it that time of the month? Are you just on your period? Like, that's so mean, but that's what we hear all the time. Like, that's, like, consistent, you know?
And the
issue is that it happens when you're not on your period, too. So it's...
Yeah, that's why. That's the problem. It's an excuse. Like, men use that as an excuse when we're angry, when we're rightfully angry, okay? And that's fucked up. Like, first of all, like, if I am on my period and I'm mad because I'm on my period, I have a reason to be mad because it's awful. And, like, most of the time, it's never really that. It's that the person
being an asshole
sucks and is being a literal asshole. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not on my period. You just suck.
You're just making me mad enough as if I was on my period. So just
that's it's like being told to calm down.
That's how
I'm like,
shitty you are.
Oh boy, you just got yourself into something by telling me that. Like, terrible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have one more question for y'all.
Yay.
But it's like kind of addressed to both of you because I know I've been like,
that's cool.
Between both of you, but both of you, I have a question about. And now that you tell me you have, what is it called? Vulva. What? Sorry.
No, you're good. It's vulvodynia, like vulva.
Vulvodynia. Okay. Let me write that down so that I can look that up later.
I'll text it to you, but if you Google it, even if you Google it like incorrectly, you'll find the right term.
Cool.
What?
That down right quick. Vulvodynia. I spelled it the way I think it looks. So
you probably spelled it right.
So I have a question for y'all.
Yeah.
What are your current thoughts on period sex?
Oh, we're big fans of period sex. That's never been a problem for us. I feel better when I have sex on my period because I don't like my vulvodynia pain as much, which helps.
Oh, wow. Does it mitigate it?
I think it's literally because my cramps hurt more, so I'm like ignoring the pain. But like that works for me, man. I'm like, I'm good. If I'm ignoring the other pain, I'm good. But we've always been big fans of period sex. I don't understand why people don't like. I know a lot of people find it gross, and I'm like, there's nothing gross about it. Like, it's just.
I feel like people are just on it because when I was like younger, like I say, like I'm 40, like a couple of years ago.
Younger.
Which when I wasn't comfortable with my partners and I never really bothered to ask about periods other than like the base facts that I already knew learning from like my mom and stuff like that and my cousins, that I wouldn't want to have period sex because I just thought it was gross. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's just blood.
You thought it was gross?
Yeah. I was like,
I probably thought it was gross too.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to do that, but then I kept like, I guess like growing up and talking to my partners about it, and then it's just like I think you just grew up and you just know it's just like another normal thing humans go through.
Yeah.
And it's
You're
fine.
a big fan of it now. You really.
I mean,
like,
it's fine. Sex is great. And then you told me it also kind of helps you with your cramps. So
it does help. It
two
does
birds,
help
one
with cramps.
stone.
Like so much. I'm like, first of all, like if you are in pain, go have sex or like go masturbate on your period. Like please do that for yourself. Like
come on.
Orgasming is the best form of painkillers for your period. Period. That's literally it. Like, because for me growing up, like, I couldn't find fucking pain meds that would help. You know what I mean? Like, my cramps are that bad. Like, that freaking bad. Like, Midol? What's Midol? Midol is like Flintstones vitamins for me. That's nothing. I'm so mad. Like, everyone was like, do you need Midol? And I'm like, what is Midol? Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, at all. The only thing I've been able to take is, like, ibuprofen, and I have to take, like, 4 of them. But sex and masturbating,
which is natural,
the best. I don't have to take painkillers. I literally just that. And then I have the other thing that helps me a lot is I have an ointment that's like cannabis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's great. Put that on there. But yeah, we just put a towel down.
Yeah.
And that's it. Sometimes we don't even have to put a towel down because, like, when you're doing it, it's like when you're underwater, like, your period flow, like, goes down because you're aroused.
Right.
Like, that people always forget about that. Like, also, if you swim, you're fine. You don't have to wear anything because your period's going to stop while you're in the water. Come on, people. But literally, like, people are like, but that's messy. I'm like, period sex is never messy for me. Like, I've never had a problem with it. Like, if my flow is really heavy, I'll put down a towel and, like, just in case, but I never get anything on the towel, like, ever.
I feel like it's just misinformation. Like,
you just have to, like, wash your body afterwards. Have awesome period sex, okay? Relieve your cramps.
And then have sex in the shower.
After.
And then take a nap.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand. I've met so many people that are like, ew, period sex? And I'm like, what's the problem? I don't get it. Like, it's just period blood. You see it every month. If you're a woman, or like a person that gets periods, like, why are you uncomfortable with seeing it while you're having sex? I just don't.
I think it's honestly just patriarchy that kind of rules everything. The fear being known from patriarchy. That women feel those feelings. Otherwise, I mean,
like the young girl. Yeah.
If guys had got their period too, this would not be an issue.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yes.
If dudes had,
it wouldn't be gross or a secret. You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't have those.
There would be like materials for
free like, period products everywhere.
Period products everywhere, like free. Everywhere.
We'd be throwing them.
It would be for free. You're right.
Free. It's like I love when people talk about, like, if abortions were, like, if men could have abortions, there'd be, like, ATMs for abortions or, like, abortion clinics, like, as many as Starbucks. Like, that's so real. But, like, if they would have periods, literally, we would get, like, in our mail weekly, okay, like, our period products. Every week. They're like, here you go. Here's your free period products and chocolate.
The branding for men ones.
Oh my god.
I'd be like, are you a man? Do you get your periods? Get tough.
Smells like pine.
Because that's what they all are.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Y'all, thank y'all for giving me life. I really appreciate. I'm so glad I chose y'all to come on.
Yay!
Like,
glad we made this easy and good for you.